Well, I want to back up a little bit because I
Yeah.
feel like you didn't start in film at all,
Mm-mm.
right?
Nope.
You tell us a little bit about your beginnings in acting
In
and in
acting.
film. Well, I mean, I guess just in this industry, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you originally started out in as an international relations major,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
what's the
How did
A to
we
B? You
get
want to
here?
connect it for us?
Yeah. Um, so when I was still a boy, my older brother went to Brigham Young University and he brought home a Divine Comedy DVD at some
Mm,
point.
okay.
And Divine Comedy, the sketch group at BYU. Um, he brought that DVD home and I was just like so enamored. I was like, this just looks like so much fun. I ended up going to BYU as well. And it wasn't really like on my radar. I
Hmm.
enjoyed doing the school plays and the school musicals and stuff. I don't have a good singing voice though. So I was never like a big part of the musicals. I was just kind of like part of the chorus, having fun. Um, I never really did any of the big high school acting roles or anything like that. So I came to BYU, and as much as I had enjoyed acting, there wasn't any like sense of I didn't have the confidence in thinking that I was going to actually study acting or anything related to it whatsoever. Um, and then I there was a friend of mine that I had met freshman year who um, Jenny Gray. She's now married to Jason Gray, who is a part of Divine Comedy. Um, and I remember her writing me a letter at some point when I was in Korea for my 2-year service mission. Um, so she wrote me a letter and was like, Jason's in this group that's really, really fun. And I think you'd be a good fit for it if you were interested. And I got back from Korea and I like missed the audition. So I didn't even get to do it that first year I was back. But the next year I auditioned because I was like, oh, this is a group of people that it's not really about like the acting so much. It's
Mm,
very much about like the group dynamic and the energy and the
mm,
audience and making sure that it's fun.
mm.
Um, so I didn't have to be a good singer. I didn't feel like I needed to be a good actor. Things like that. I hope that's not insulting to anybody, but it was just like this might be a good fit because it's just like a group of people that are very fun.
Yeah.
Um, and so I auditioned and ended up getting in by some miracle. I'm not really sure what happened. But from that point forward, it was very like um, it was just a school of hard knocks. I felt like you were trying to come up with so much material every semester
Mm.
for crowds of people, hoping that you'd sell out the auditoriums that we were trying to perform in. Um, and yeah, that was really where it started like cutting my teeth on comedy writing and comedy acting, I guess, kind of stage acting and everything like that. And so I got in the summer before Studio C, the BYU TV show, started. So it was like a kind of slipping in the door as it was closing kind of thing. um, and and so it just became a very intensive kind of process. Like the 10 of us that were in Studio C
Mm.
became very tight knit because we were just always trying to write, always trying to experiment with new things, throwing everything you can up against the wall and seeing if it sticks. And that gave us the confidence. I mean, 6 years after 6 years of doing Studio C, we all were like, I think that we want to try to do something new. I think that we've hit the limit of the opportunities and the kind of experience that we've got here. So we left en masse and started JK Studios. And that was very much, it was another season of like intensive guerrilla type work, I guess, of learning how to do every job
Yeah.
that we hadn't already learned in terms of, I mean, editing and production and every one of those pieces. We made a number of web series. We had people who were willing to part with their money to see if we could make something good out of it.
Yeah.
So we made some very fun shows. We made the first season of Freelancers, and we're very excited to make the second one coming up. But all of those things were really just like developing the talents that we didn't even know we half the talents weren't ones that we even really like wanted to develop, I guess. But it was like a somebody needs to, and we need the necessity of people learning how to edit and
Mhm.
learning all of the just every step from a concept all the way to the actual release
Yeah.
of a product. So we so JK Studios became that new crucible, I guess. And we so I'm very I think that recovery would have been impossible if we hadn't had like that kind of Studio C gave us the writing chops, JK Studios gave us the production chops, and then we were able to put it all together to make a feature in the middle of 2020,
Yeah.
the great pandemic of 2020.
Yes. Yeah, so you never really, like, saw yourself writing comedy. You just kinda got thrown into it with Divine Comedy.
Yeah.
Wa
Yeah.
was that what was that like trying to pick up those skills and just write comedy if you'd never done it before? This taking on these new skills in
Mhm.
such a guerrilla fashion, I feel
Yeah.
like that kinda has to happen at the beginning of a filmmaking career, and then it starts there's almost like this pressure to specialize,
Right.
which you've managed to not really have to specialize yet, right? Like you've been able to you've just directed something,
Mhm.
but you do spend a lot of your time writing, correct, and
Right.
acting.
Yeah.
So are you drawn to one more versus the other?
Yeah. I think that I mean, there have been plenty of dark moments when it's been that feeling of like, should we focus on something very specific? Should we just go full bore into one like idea? Should I become a producer only? Should I
Mm,
become an editor only? Like
yeah.
those feelings of like, I don't know if we can keep up this pace that we
Yeah.
already have right now. So would it be wiser to try to like get very, very good at one thing instead of spreading ourselves too thin? But at the same time, I feel like knowledge in all the different categories of making film or writing, comedy or drama are just there's so many invaluable lessons from literally everywhere. So many shining examples of people who are doing all of the aspects. Like I think of like David Bowie for some reason, and like the fact that he did like so much theater, but then so much music as well, and art. And there's just people who are incredibly good in so many areas, and I think it's because they are trying to expand themselves. They're
Mm,
trying to create situations that are pushing them to another level. And so the more I think about all of the like evidences that want to push me towards specializing in something, I'm more inclined to be like, but there's so many things, there's so many experiences that you can do,
mm,
and um, honestly, just picking up the one that feels most exciting and most fulfilling or most expanding at any given moment feels like the path that I personally at least want to keep trying to do.
yeah.
Um, so directing has become a definitely something that I have really, really enjoyed. I only ever really directed a few sketches while on Studio C, um, and then a few of our JK Studios productions. Um, so directing a feature for the first time was a very, just a very new experience, a very exciting kind of like, how is this going to work?
Mhm.
Is it really just like the small version, like the 6 hour directorial experience from before, but just extended over the course of 3 weeks? Is it basically the same? Um, and I think it actually is kind of basically the same. It's like you still have to hold all of the continuity in your head of like, oh, this scene needs to match this, and the energy needs to be at this point, here, and here. Um, but in terms of directing and writing and acting, there's so many opportunities. There's just like so many different directions you can go at any given time.
Mm.
So it feels just exciting to do the ones that are presenting themselves.
At the moment.
Yeah.